So hello, everyone. Welcome to today's water cooler chat, where we talk about all things Livepeer, orchestrating, delegating, broadcasting, gatewaying, AI inference, developing, anything to do with the Livepeer ecosystem. We're here to ask questions and get answers. We got a couple topics ahead of us. We got the Eliza integration that is launched, and we can talk about that. There's the AI SPE proposal, idea around more Eliza integrations with talking heads and lips and things like this. A newcomer interested in image generation and video generation. A couple other topics as well. So I'd like to kick off this conversation real quick with update around the Eliza integration, and then the plans going forward, and then also then we can jump into some other topics. So for those that don't know, Define has put together a bunch of code which integrates the Livepeer image generation into Eliza, which makes Eliza by default have the ability to use the Livepeer network for inference. So the first inference we've implemented is image generation. One of the reasons we started there was because Livepeer already has a great support for image generation. We have lots of models, we have lots of GPUs running on it. It's already running in the gateway really reliably. And so Define was able to dig through the code and implement the Livepeer endpoint, a gateway of any kind. So you can either do a self-hosted gateway, or you can use the public Dream Cloud SPE's gateway. Any gateway that runs on Livepeer, you can plug in that endpoint, and you can start doing image inference. So I was able to take some of his code, all of his code. I updated the docs so that hopefully they get merged into the Eliza documentation as well, so people can learn how to use Livepeer and hopefully educate people on how to basically get inference from Live, one of the default providers. There's only like 5 default providers, and now we're going to be like the 6th. So we're one of, I think, 6 on there that ready. And yeah, so that's a huge milestone. Now, Eliza itself doesn't use, a lot of people are not using the image generation feature all that much. I think there's still quite a few broken pieces in the rest of the Eliza framework for actually posting the images. Like right now, Eliza doesn't properly post the image X. You chat with it in its own little chat room. It doesn't post it properly. So image generation just isn't really a big item in Eliza right now, but obviously it will become really popular. The most popular is the LLM inference. Obviously, just text inference that is basically everyone in Eliza is using. So we've got the image generation inputted. All the work was done by Define. Big credit to him. I think he won a bounty from that. There's another bounty for the LLM integration. I think Define, you're looking at taking that over as well. And once that happens, we're waiting for the gateways to upgrade so we can accept LLM inference on the network. Once we do that, I think we're going to start seeing quite a bit of work again. In doing so, once we get the LLM inference in, we're going to be posting some educational content for people to use Livepeer for free using the hosted cloud gateway and some other gateways, maybe some educational content on how people can spin up their own gateways and use it in a very decentralized way. So that's kind of the plan for Eliza in the short term. Hopefully we can get that done in the next, something like that. Kind of depends on how the gateways can handle it first, then the Eliza integration. So that's the update from the Eliza integration. Does anyone have any questions or comments about that integration so far? I want to open it up.
Yes. do have some questions regarding the existing Livepeer workflows. So I would like to know here, it will help a lot if someone talks a bit about the existing workflows. For example, how do the orchestrators updating their instances? Does it happen once a Go Live per integration is merged? What happens after that? Uh, I think it will help a lot understand where can we uh, help and what exactly can be done with the integration or to foresee issues that they may arise.
You mean on the orchestrator side, so the people supplying the inference, or
Um,
the gateway side, the one that people are using for inference, like the like Eliza and plugins?
Both of like the universal workflow, the workflow that updates the inference instances, the instances where the inference happens, but also what can happen in why do we have, for example, different flavors of responses, which we had a different response from your gateway and a different response from the SPE gateway, and understanding the reasoning, the root cause of why did that happen, it will be, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good question because I didn't know that was going to happen, and I'm curious as to maybe Papa Bear or Mike from the SPE team can explain how their setup is. So, what happens is the default gateway doesn't provide the full URL. It only provides the relative path, so it just ends with slash, image.png, right? And for that sense, the Livepeer SPE uses an S3 bucket, from what Mike was saying, which then it doesn't return just the relative path; it provides the whole path to the S3 bucket, which makes sense because the S3 bucket might have a different URL than where you're calling the inference from. So I'm just kind of curious: is that a custom thing that the cloud SPE is doing that they've implemented, or is that default in the gateway somehow that you can specify you want to use the absolute path? Mike, I see
You guys
you come
hear
up to
me?
stage. Yes.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
That's just default live peer functionality. In fact, it was implemented as part of transcoding. So you could publish your transcoded segments to an S3 bucket, use S3 buckets with a CDN, and that way you don't have to, spend all of the bandwidth serving the content from your gateway. With a lot of people viewing your stream for transcoding, that could rack up some really expensive network fees for a gateway operator. So they added the ability to stream from a CDN so that you can distribute your content to a CDN. But as it relates to AI in this particular case, we found that having three geolocated um, three geolocated gateways, we were noticing that there were some limitations with serving the images that were generated from our gateway. And we saw that, you know, the more requests were coming in, we noticed that people started getting these black images, or they were getting no images back. They were getting like 404 errors because the gateway only supports up to like 12 images in memory. Then it just starts dropping the oldest ones. So we needed something more durable. So it's a default feature. We took advantage of it, but we basically allow any gateway that we operate across the world to publish to the same S3 bucket, and then anyone can view those images from that S3 bucket. So it's kind of like, we needed it just because we didn't want to be bound to the 12 image limitation for a given gateway. And at one point we were getting more than 12 requests at a time. So people, like, especially when FlipGuard was using it, they would start losing their images. And this S3 bucket was a way to preserve those images for a longer period of time. And it wouldn't be bound to the 12 image cap by the default gateway. Hope
I
that makes sense.
can I ask? Sorry. Yes, it makes perfect sense. But can I ask a question about does only the SPE do only the SPE bucket is that specific to SPE, or if, for example, Titan's node still has the limitation of the 12 images?
Sorry, I misunderstood. What are you asking?
Is this something that it's universal, or it's only supported from the SPE gateway?
Oh yeah, no, the Livepeer Cloud SPE gateway is just using a standard feature of the Livepeer gateway node. So if Titan, there's a flag, I can post it in the chat once I grab the configs from the server. But there's a config, you can point any one of your gateways to an S3 bucket yourself. So I mean, we set up our own S3 bucket, but anyone can install, configure, set up their own S3 bucket, configure their gateway to point to it, and you can take advantage of it as well. There's no custom code in there. It's just default behavior.
Okay, so I think the question is, so when you enable that flag, it changes the URL output of where to get the image, right?
That's right.
And because
That's
of
right.
that, I think, well, first of all, we didn't know that, so it was breaking our implementation. So I actually had to go ask Mr. Claude to rewrite an if statement, just saying if this is an absolute path, use this, and if it's not, then use the URL.
That's right.
Right. So we had to. So I don't know if that's in the SDKs. Right. So we didn't use the SDK. We didn't use the npm plugin because I think it wasn't working.
Well, I'm pretty sure when they started developing the SDKs, they were testing it against Livepeer Cloud Gateway. We initially launched it, and we did not use S3 buckets because we were unaware of the 12 image limitation. So we started getting a lot of people reporting broken images. So we were trying to understand why it was happening, and then as a result, we switched over to the S3 bucket. And then folks that were using the SDK started to have the same problem you mentioned, where, hey, we used to be relative paths, now they're absolute. What's going on? Our apps are breaking. So I think the SDK did handle the scenario where it says if it's a full URL, fetch it from that URL. Otherwise, make it relative to the gateway you're located to. So I think the SDKs do properly handle that. But if you're using the cloud gateway, now you already know you have to test that URL to make sure if you're switching between gateways.
Maybe the SDKs were working, but we opted out from using them, so we had to put that logic in ourselves.
Oh yeah, I did the same thing on AI generator. It doesn't use the SDKs. We built our own client to calling those, and that's the same thing we did. Is if it starts with a fully qualified URL, serve it directly from the URL. If it's not, then just append it to the gateway URL and serve it from the gateway. We just didn't want all of the requests coming into the AI gateway getting served from our gateways themselves. We put them on an S3 bucket. And as I said in the chat, is we encourage people app builders to not rely on the cloud gateway for hosting those images. So there's a 24-hour time to live on those assets that get published to the cloud gateway. So if you start accessing those images 24 hours later, they'll go away. So if you really want to preserve it as an app builder, you should send the AI job, get the image from the URL and then store it somewhere so that you can host it from your website or application. It's not really meant to be a CDN hosting solution. It really was meant to be, a short-term way that you could download those assets and publish them yourself on your own website.
I have. Sorry, Liza, please go on.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So if someone doesn't enable the CDN utility does not enable that flag, do they still have the 12 image limitation? Do the gateways store the images inside of routing them to the S3 bucket?
If they do not enable S3 bucket configuration on the gateway, they will face the 12 image limitation. By the same token, is if you restart the gateway, any images that are in memory at that time get erased as well. So there's no durable storage for non S3 implementations. It's in memory. It's up to 12. And it'll just keep popping off the oldest ones as new requests come in. So it's very limiting without the S3 bucket.
So we need to stop them from, if they do not have enabled the S3 bucket flag, they cannot serve, I think.
That's correct.
One quick note on that. So Brett is always also here. I asked him. So the behavior could have changed because we were using the same request ID. So now it could be that it's 12 images per request, but maybe Brett can dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. I don't remember exactly when. I can go nail this down and get back to you about it, and then also retest it. But this was at one point we were using the same request ID, which was basically the pipeline and the model, and that's where we hit the 12 limitation. I think somewhere along the lines, it may have been the AI worker that we updated to unique IDs for each request. But I have not come back and retested it for a while.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've tested that as well.
Yeah,
so
you went to S3 and people stopped asking. I have different
That's right.
I had different things to tackle. So, but if it's important for this Titan or define, I can go back and test and let you know on
But I
it.
still think there's a durable storage concern anyway, right? Even if it's
100%.
not 12, you still there's no answer for, okay, I restart the gateway, all the images are lost, right? You still
Correct.
won't have that long-term storage.
Correct. The whatever's calling the service should immediately download the result and keep it in its own storage. Gateways are intended to be somewhat stateless in that manner that they're not they can integrate with another service, an S3 service, which is purpose built to serve files, right?
Yep.
So I don't know, Titan, how does that work out with this integration?
So I have good news. Eliza is meant to take the images and deal with it. So
Okay.
That is good.
So every other image provider, it downloads it, saves it a copy of it in the generated image folder locally on the Eliza machine, and therefore it then deals with it. So that's the implementation. So it doesn't require external hosting or some sort of persistent gateway to have it, right? It requests, downloads, and that's the end of the information. So that is fine with the current Eliza framework kind of like flow. Now, the only issue I can see is if we give people a free gateway or if there's a public gateway, then you're going to get hammered with inference. In which case, the cloud SPE with its S3 bucket is going to be the preferred choice to make sure people have a good user experience, right? So I think by default, if we're giving people a free endpoint to use, we definitely should give them the cloud SPE. They don't, because if there's 50 people all using inference at the same time, like I don't know how a regular gateway will handle that limitation. The only thing I can see is public gateways that are either giving away free inference or charging for inference need to have their infrastructure set up, like usually with some sort of persistence for like the SPE does with 24 hours. That's a perfect handling of this. Now, if people are spinning up their own gateways and serving their own apps, their own inference, the question becomes like, are they going to bombard their own gateway enough that they run into this type of
Probably not.
I doubt it.
Kind of one stream at a time kind of deal, right?
Yeah, like, if someone's bombarding themselves with 12 image requests a second, okay, then they might. I don't even know. Is that even realistic?
I think
I
it's
think
good as
yes,
a starter
Titan.
where you don't need to have it. Like if you once you start to see some real adoption, you will have that concern.
I mean,
If you have one swarm, you can have that kind of generation being happening. Multiple agents generating images concurrently.
Yeah, and I think we're past the 12 because we use a request ID that's unique to every request that comes in now. That wasn't always the case, but I think we are past that. I need to retest it to be sure. I haven't thought about it in a while.
But regardless, the more volume you get, it's just going to take more memory on the gateway server. Like it's going to store
Yeah.
that stuff in memory. So if you're getting thousands and thousands of requests, a lot of these images aren't that big, so it's not a big deal. But with enough volume and enough time, that gateway will start to suck up a lot of RAM.
Yeah, it can. And just to clarify real quick on the LLM side of things or anything that's text based, it's not saving anything. It's sending the response right back.
Yeah, this is media assets, the
Yeah.
images, the videos that get generated, and then also on the transcoding side. So transcoding, image and video generation, audio generation, these things get stored there. But anything text-based won't be stored in S3. It just gets served right back.
Correct.
So by the sounds of it, the cloud SPE and charging, public gateways that are charging for this type of service, they need to have some sort of persistent, being able to scale. Local gateways, I doubt will have probably use their own gateway without too many.
What
Kind of how I.
Oh,
setting
the
up
other thing to
S3
note
is
about.
really
Oh,
not
sorry, go ahead,
hard.
Brad.
Yeah, setting up S3 isn't really hard. I mean, Volter has an easy solution. Stored J has a relatively easy solution. I'm sure Mike can help get something written up.
Yeah, I have a
set that up.
Docker compose file I can share to folks and run their own gate or their own S3 bucket. MinIO is open source software. We run that, so we don't use any infrastructure but our own. So
Yeah.
it's definitely you can self-host and get around it. But I to me, I look at it like, hey, you get Eliza integration going, you start getting adoption. Take our gateways down, crush them. That's what I want to see. Put the volume on our servers, and we will ramp them up. I mean, we will put more infrastructure behind it. If demand is coming in, we're not going to let our gateways fall over. We're definitely going to be ramping them up and trying to keep this stuff going because it's demand generation, right? If we got demand like that, that's a good problem to have. And I'd be willing to throw as many servers at it as we can to keep this stuff going.
Yeah. So on that note too, just for the future, just for the LLM integration, I would like to provide. So right now, if you want to use Livepeer, you have to go to a documentation site and you read, how to use it and grab a URL to put in there. I kind of would like to hard paste in the .env like the Dream Cloud SPE, and then when you make educational content, it's already in there. Like literally, all you have to do is set a flag, use Livepeer, and you go. You don't even have to change anything.
Yeah.
Some people are doing that. So obviously, like OpenAI and Anthropic, they're like, here, go to our website, trust your credit card, we'll give you a key, but then the other free inference sites that just want adoption, they're, hey, I'm just gonna paste it in your ENV for you. It's in the GitHub repo. It's super public, and guess what? Just go for it. So
Yeah.
if you're okay, if you think that that's fine, we do the LLM pull request. I'd like to hard code that Stream gateway in there, and then obviously there's a documentation site that's like, here's use a different gateway or a paid gateway, or you set up your own gateway or whatever configuration you. I think just adding the default in there that people can use would be just super.
Yeah, I think it's good. I would just caution to, like, if this becomes wildfire, right? Like if for some reason instantly it goes viral and things start to really happen, there could be some disruptions until we scale up. But obviously, from the cloud SPE's perspective is, we're not going to scale up and run massive amount of infrastructure if the demand doesn't match, right? So we have a good size set of servers now, but we're pretty much waiting to see some more demand before we start to really expand our infrastructure. So there could be, if there is like a viral moment, that could be something that we'd have. Obviously we have monitoring in place. We keep track of our system resources, but if there's a big marketing event or a big push to drive a lot of demand, it would be ideal to give us a heads up, so that we could prepare for it. Or even if we know, if there's some sort of sense of how much demand is going to come in, it would be better to give us a heads up to prepare for it versus having an outage. But that's the possibility that's out there right now, is that if it does get hot, we could have some service disruptions, but we're definitely prepared to ramp up if needed.
You got 10 days to ramp up your LLM infrastructure.
10 days. Thanks, Titan. Can we even get anything in the mail this time of year?
You get 10 days, baby. Yeah, and
Yeah, I always said too, I think the bottleneck's not going to be the gateway, right? I think if we have the models and the GPUs all loaded and ready, and if we see people lined up with that work, I'm pretty sure our gateways can withstand quite a bit.
how quick is? So go ahead.
No, the mic. Did you do a test already, like a load test on the gateways from a request side, like memory, CPU usage? What you can handle from your side?
Yeah, I think again the big question here is the type of workloads that are coming through the system. When we saw the SAM2 work, the SAM2 has massive network bandwidth usage from the actual text that gets downloaded. So that we saw lots and lots of bandwidth usage. So we would be really constrained doing SAM2 at scale on our gateway, as you saw when Supermodel did their work. They had tons of requests coming in, and it definitely is a gateway killer that SAM2 workloads are. But we haven't had a chance to really profile what the LLM looks like. And I know the image generation, these items are not as bad as, like I think we definitely got a lot more throughput on the image generation and the video generation side. I think the SAM2 was an anomaly, but I haven't yet profiled the LLM jobs. And I'd be curious to see what that looks like. We do have testing going on, so I'm sure we could probably run some more volume through the network or through our gateway and just get a good benchmark to see, hey, for our current server, how much can we push through before we start to notice disruption. So that's something we can put on our list of to-dos, but we haven't really done it for the LLM stuff yet. Again,
Right.
being the models and the GPU it would break there before it would break on our gateway.
Yeah, I think as well. So that the SAM2 pipeline was not optimized when it was used. So John and Peter already optimized it a bit, and Brett. So that really was a network killer. Hopefully the LLM and the image pipelines are better. So I think the Titan, the best, or that's the second risk here for your launch is really the number of GPUs we have on the network, which will be currently around 100, I think. Our group can spin up enough GPUs for your initial launch, but of course I want to have the orchestrator spin up their GPUs first and only do that route when it's needed.
Sure. Yeah. It's I don't want to get too enthusiastic. I mean, 10 is fun. fun. But like, yeah, I mean, and day one, like I don't know, probably not. It takes time for and to. I already have one project that I'm building that does gonna need LLM 2 to 10. So they get that going, and could be just slow, and like I can put on the net before it even gets. So beta test. Yeah. Well, as soon as the gateways have the ability to do LLM, please let me know. Upgrade my gateway as well as hopefully the clouds will upgrade theirs. Right into it.
Yeah, and on that point, to answer the Vine's other question. So how it's currently updated, we update the Docker containers on the AI runner side. That has already been done. Brett has merged that already. So orchestrators can already use the right AI runner to do this inference. But currently we also have to update the Go Livepeer side to serve the new LLM requests, which are quicker. In the future, we really want to optimize that more. So currently already the Docker containers get auto-pulled, but they should also auto-update based on the versioning. And then we want to move some of the worker codes to the Go Livepeer side so that there is really a strong link between the Go Livepeer code that you use and the AI runner, so that you could have the containers auto-update up to the point where it's not compatible anymore, which will be handled by the Go Livepeer side version to make the operations of the orchestrators better. But currently it has to be updated on the Go Livepeer side as well to have it on the network.
So someone could, if I understand correctly, go out of their way and through some custom process update through the AI runner side without going through the Go Livepeer package?
In the future, yes, if the pipelines are generic enough and the AI runner is still compatible. Currently, the both sides have to be updated if the pipeline inputs and outputs change. And I think that's in this case that's the case, but I'm not 100% sure if you're talking about the LLM. Maybe Brett can comment on that, but because I think it's changing because there is a Go Livepeer pull request from Brett that updates the code. So currently it has to be updated on both sides of the orchestrator.
Yeah, the orchestrators are going to have to upgrade, and so are the gateways for it. It's just the LLM was kind of like, I guess, maybe a soft release before. The backend has changed to use VLLM, and it's more compatible now with like OpenAI type results. So it is a larger change, but I will say the orchestrators are relatively fast, especially if we reach out and say there's an announcement upgrade. There'll be a decent amount of them that do upgrade for it pretty quick.
Thank you for the detailed explanation, Brad. Could you explain in really high level why do both the orchestrators and the gateways need to be updated separately? As a person who didn't know that Livepeer existed like 1 month ago, where should I go to get more information on the architecture, for example, or how does it work in high level?
Like, okay, so the first one, explain high level. The update is needed for this specific one because it's like the workflow, the plumbing between the nodes, the gateway, and the orchestrators changed. So, in the request coming into the gateway is slightly different. It went from like a multi-part request. This is what you ran into the multi-part form it was looking for versus the JSON data request.
Mhm.
That's why the
Yes.
gateway has to be updated, and then the orchestrators have to be updated for a very similar reason. The plumbing's changed slightly with the workflow and how the code goes all the way down to the runner and then back up to the gateway. On the docs of like where to get a higher level understanding, I'll have to think about it for a second. I don't know if anybody else has a link to that.
You mean like the workflow of like the relationship between the orchestrators and the gateways,
No, that's still the same, but it's really request specific. The request has just changed and how it goes through. In most of it is the multi-part form switched to the JSON body, like text request type.
I'm just trying to understand Define's question. How high level does he go?
I was trying to better understand the processes that the orchestrators and the gateways are updated, because just a few moments ago I had them concatenated in my mind. I had them very close to each other. So I thought that that you had to update them together. I did not knew that they were updated separately.
Yeah, they're two
Yeah.
different processes.
Yeah, they're two different processes. The gateway basically, it runs that the server take the request
Hello,
in. It knows how
future-
to reach out to the network of orchestrators, figure out which one to use, and then send the request to the orchestrators that can serve the request that it received. That's the main
Okay, good.
point of the gateway, and then the orchestrators. What's with this AI stuff is as things move so fast and change. There can be backwards compatibility where one side or the other doesn't have to update as in the gateway and the orchestrator. But since the AI is still pretty new, we're still building it out. It has been tied together where gateways and orchestrators need to update almost simultaneously or very short. They're very close to each other. And on the gateway side, there's a flag you can include to only include orchestrators with certain versions, and that's how you can control from the gateway side how like the backwards compatibility that you have with previous versions. These days, I think the cloud, they might use maybe one version or two behind, but they work closely with us where we say, hey, everything's changed, you need to move the version up. They will do that, and we'll at the same time reach out to the orchestrators with an announcement saying, hey, update, do it now, or as soon as you can. So we do try to keep them very close together.
Okay, now thank you very much. Now I understand perfectly. I had the confusion because Titan told me that this is a gateway. I assumed that you had a gateway that led to the inference infrastructure that the orchestrator was running. So from what I understand, they're just like the pathways that route traffic to the orchestrator, and they can be configured to, for example, lead to certain orchestrators and have certain decision criteria, as far as I understand.
Yeah, I think that's a good understanding.
Thank you very much. Where's Titan?
He kicked himself out to the audience. So do I have to
Okay,
invite him to
so
speak?
So now we need a new host.
Rick, you're it.
Titan will be back in a minute. Sorry.
Okay.
I think he's probably had to just step out just for a moment. So I'll let one of you guys take over the next piece of topic, if you like.
Papa Bear, you're usually the guest host, right?
I am, but I was not paying attention during the intros. I don't know if anyone else has a topic. So if anyone else has a topic and wants to bring it up now, first one to speak, go ahead.
Yes, so I think the next topics were IDs for Eliza, and then the AI SPE proposal, right, Titan, and he's back.
Sorry about that. My baby daughter woke up, so I had to go grab her. But yeah, hopefully. Yeah. So yeah, if someone wants to kind of take over hosting, but yeah, the topics
Yeah, no
were
problem.
the AI SPE proposal from Rick, and then Interprtr about his talking head animated PFP idea.
Yeah, and it was about the role of the AI SPE in the Eliza framework integration.
Yeah. Oh, so I'll quickly cover that part. Just because
Yeah, but
So Eliza obviously is a framework for lots of different pipelines and things, and they're not all necessarily AI kind of like demand driven stuff for Livepeer. Some might be like different plugins that could help the use of like live video or like things in Eliza that could help, aren't maybe a good resource to be spending on the AI SPE. So I was thinking of, is it necessary to build Eliza SPE? And it's basically educational, and it's just like a super deep rooting like support team for people all about it. And it can do things with like live video or how to just a team dedicated to, you know, the endpoints, Eliza usage, integration with Livepeer, things like that, that not necessarily the AI SPE maybe would dedicate resources to, or they would if it's our number one driver. So just wanted to talk kind of about that, whether there's interest from the AI team to take over that, or whether a different entity come. Yeah, that was my topic. Great to hear your feedback from that, Rick. And then, yeah, the other topics around proposal and Interprtr stuff. And I'm just gonna listen in for the. Don't mind.
Yeah, no problem.
I have a quick comment on that. What about an AI bot SPE, and then Eliza is maybe just like a project of it? So if other projects come out, they can all fit within the AI bot.
Like, yeah, zero bro, virtuals, like just having people on the ground in those communities representing Livepeer. And then, you know, if someone's like, hey, listen, like within a minute of someone saying, hey, like Livepeer's broken, the gateway is not working with zero bro because something broke, you can just have someone there immediately to but yeah, no, that's probably a better name for it. Papa Bear is not an Eliza SP, but like a AI
Like,
bot. Anyway, continue.
In general, I like the idea. I think it's a great idea.
yeah, me too. So to give you an answer from my side, I really like this idea. That's the first time you told it 2 months ago. I already was on board because it can really bring them in, and also it can really give us a lot of insights in how to further develop the batch and generative pipelines. From my group, we don't have enough resources to also do support for AI agents. So another SPE or another team doing that would be really nice because we still have to work on improving the core network stuff. And we're still working on really looking what is this demand bringer. So batch pipelines, generative pipelines were really showcased already with the super model that there are a demand bringer, there are promising signals there. But we also support in the next proposal at least the first quarter, the real-time AI workloads to get that kick started so that we can research two sides of this AI market. So I think there is really a place for an SPE that looks that takes a more demand focused approach here. So can do also engineering, of course, creating pipelines, because one of the what you see in the proposal that I posted last week, we want to make the adding of pipelines easier for people, so that it's simply creating a runner container. You don't have to do all this complicated Go logic. So I think there is really, if you can make a team dedicated at researching if this opportunity with the Eliza framework can bring demand, that's really beneficial, I think, and offering support there. The one thing I will mention is that there is a group currently working on a demand focused SPE, and I can contact you with that group as well. So it should be a little bit related. So that's also nice to get in contact with them.
Rick, Titan, a comment regarding demand. So everything in Eliza revolves around the plugins, and regarding demand just think about this is speculative, but I think it's very well it's very well related in what Lifer tries to accomplish with enlarging the market cap and the serviced audience. So imagine that we can have a ComfyStream extension, a ComfyStream plugin on Eliza, and maybe different plugins which will be maintained and make it really easy to be used with Livepeer and just make it the first option for people. And so whenever this is used, and it's also extending the Livepeer ecosystem, whenever someone has an agent that needs to create a video or you want to do an agent with Livestream that translates to 100 different languages at the same time and maybe even has customized visual also in real time, that can be served directly from the plugin. And another comment is, I think that Eliza is a great opportunity for Livepeer because of the potential to pay the fees in such a streamlined way, because it already has crypto plugins and crypto integrations. You don't need to go in the traditional credit card route. So you just have to figure some code and boom, you immediately pay for your inference code in crypto to directly to the treasury or the SPE team wallet. And I think these are the reasons on why this is a great opportunity.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's you saw it in the last month already. The amount of popularity into these agents and the things they can do. It's really huge. So the only thing there to answer the question in the proposal as well, we have a section for orchestrator improvements that will benefit your agent network, because that will allow, as you stated, orchestrators to update more quicker to new features. And allow them to better serve jobs that your bot generates. Also, we still have engineers working on batch jobs, optimization, and pipeline generalization, which means that we want to make it easier, as I stated, for other people to add pipelines so the community can step in there, and that we want to optimize the serving of batch pipelines. So from a core network perspective, so as engineers, yes, we're happy to help. Only from, for example, what Titan is explaining, really being a demand focused, or at least the outside, how do we say that? Really be a group that really goes into these communities, works with these communities, offers support there, does like marketing events around the Eliza integration. I think that's not something that my group currently can take on based on the resources we have. So there is definitely, I think, a really strong case for creating an SPE that can take on those jobs and also can take maybe some engineering on them as well if they want to.
I agree with that. I mean, we can see what it's possible to do. So we're working with Titan and that, and we can see how far we can go on the alpha, what type of demand is possible. There's so much media generation that it's AI focused right now. My own application generates media data, so it can be triggered to generate sorts. There is stuff that we can do before we go to the SP and look on that progress to then solidify the SP and the demands of it.
Yeah, and also if your thesis really proves promising, of course, then and brings demands to the orchestrators, there will be more people joining the engineering open source community, I think. Also, some resources from other open source groups will shift to it. Because currently, of course, the Livepeer network we set together as a community, we now set the ability of adding AI jobs on the Livepeer network in the last years, but we're currently still searching for really this demand bringer. And I think this year really will showcase what that demand bringer is. And I think the agent network that you're working is really a nice test case that we really should look into and dedicate resources to.
Yeah, totally agree. So I'm not really used
Yeah.
to host, guys.
No problem. So I think the next topic was
You scared me for a minute.
yeah, my microphone was not working. So I think Peter, you had your next topic that was related to the agent network with new ideas for pipelines. Also, maybe how our group can help define really scale this network with new jobs.
Yeah, I think that the you guys can hear me, yes?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, awesome. I think specifically and kind of funny related to a pipeline that was never actually released, mostly because we've been looking at these talking head implementations for the past 6 months or so, and there's a common thread among most of them, which is running something like Python 3.8 and the diffuser is lower than 2.7 or 0.27, which doesn't play nicely with the rest of our AI worker pipeline code. And I've been over here continuing research and looking into Ani Portrait and Muse Talk, and both of those are similarly constrained, as was Real 3D Portrait, that I went down a bit of a rabbit hole of separate environments and invoking new Python processes from our pipeline to be able to integrate those models into our existing framework. So while there are engineering challenges there, I guess I still think that just want to throw out there, I see a lot of potential use in specifically Eliza or potentially other Twitter integrated AI agent frameworks because of the rise in popularity and the excitement around agents or even just individual users doing short video talking head snippets as tweet responses or just tweet posts. So I mean, just kind of echoing how I think that the agent SPE sounds like a great idea, and I get also kind of throwing out there if there are anybody's come across any good talking head models that they found that are newer or promising. I mean, I see 3 research papers posted in the last 30 days with really nice new promising implementations, no code yet or models, but yeah, just wondering if anybody else has input on that, if they think that should be a continued pursuit, and even potentially looking into better model integrations for the Comfy UI live streaming pipeline for talking heads.
Specifically about talking heads?
Yeah.
No, no, please go ahead.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Okay. So you just want things like LOMM or yes, things like that. We have code or things we will have code. That's what you're looking for.
I'm sorry, I don't know if I quite understood you, but I was just curious if there was
Sure.
any feedback from community on.
Okay, because my question
these
was, what the model did you already integrate? Because like I said, I'm kind of new here, so I don't know what work you did do.
Real 3D Portrait was one that I implemented that did not get merged, but there are others out there that have been suggested, from Portrait to Muse Talk. There's Echo Mimic, Let's Talk, Memo.
Did you
So
take a look at LMM, for example, since it's use animate diff? Maybe you have already things in your pipeline.
we haven't specifically looked at animate diff, I think, for
Because
this particular
LMM is the
application.
thing we use animate diff for that, for example.
And that
So maybe
and that will take audio input and lip sync.
I think it does for.
But
I think it
most of
does.
these also do like head motion and some even
Yeah, but I
expression.
think this one does. I need to check it. Between. Give me 2 sec. LMM.
So, so if I remember correctly, animative last time I checked is like really a text to video model, and it's already it could be merged because Marco completed it. So the text to video pipeline, we can merge it. So to get back to your topic, Peter. So I think it can be a distinguishing factor, and I'm curious to hear Define's answer as well. So are there people already using bots that really post like videos of lip syncs avatars as a
Yeah.
response to
Yeah.
tweets? Because if we're the only ones and we're serving that quickly and we can get it on the network, then it's another distinguishing factor that can allow people to use the Livepeer as the provider instead of other providers that don't
I
yet
see a
offer that.
lot of people using Eliza, and if that was an integration in Eliza, and people were, and it was effectively a Livepeer feature, then I have a feeling we would see a lot of usage there.
Yeah,
I
I think
totally
as
Twitter
agree.
is a massive audience of AI bot builders.
And no YouTube. And because Eliza is mostly focusing on Twitter, Telegram, Discord integration, there is no YouTube. I saw a video generation plugin. To my knowledge, it's either in test stage or barely used. Regarding the talking heads, 3D head generation, and lip sync, I think it's a very good opportunity for the short term. So for the, let's say, next 3 to 5 months, people can have plugins on Eliza that they will generate those kind of videos, and maybe you put some background, some effect, some AI video generated effects as well, and boom, you have a video. But I do think that the video generation pipelines they will be multimodal generation pipelines where you would have video, audio, and in the future maybe even other kind of modalities like the ability to feel something. If anyone has there is some tech that is in the experimental stage allows you to touch the things in the metaverse. So you will have pipelines that they will give you all that. So they will take information, they will change the information live, and they will be generalized. So they will not have to be specifically for talking heads. They can be if prompted on the instructions properly, but I think looking towards the generalized pipeline space can be more profitable and more beneficial on the long term.
Interesting points. Thank you. I wanted to also kind of add here that part of my thoughts and vision here were, integrating some of the pipelines we already have and potentially composing those through possibly a project that some AI SPE members have been working on. But also we have a text to speech, and obviously we have an LLM pipeline. Although I don't know, I guess we're planning potentially having an Eliza integration for our LLM endpoints. but I feel like we could easily do an end-to-end like Twitter post for static video, but also even potentially in the future live LLM to, obviously there'd be a bit of a delay or offset here, but to text to speech and also then to lip sync. So we're talking about live video streams with fully LLM generated talking head streams. Something that I think that could be realized by a combination of our teams and some effort this year. I'd like to see that happen sooner rather than later, and I think that that's potentially a real driver for not only a lot of traffic. Obviously, live streams are going to generate more income for orchestrators, but starting off with the video static post, I think would garner enough recognition for Livepeer in general that it's a good starting point. I just figured I'd throw out there to the community that it would be amazing if anybody else had research insights or putting in time there to see how that might be integrated into our pipelines, other than going and looking at some of these older, or not older, but the research papers that ultimately usually use some very outdated dependencies. Maybe a question as to in our AI SPE proposal, whether we should dedicate resources towards actually implementing some of these research papers as opposed to just pulling in existing open source implementations, given the priority and importance that I feel that this represents.
I have a question about that. Where are we in your services about the live stream ad? What's the problem? What make it not actually possible to make it in place right now?
We have some live streaming implementation in alpha here.
Okay.
Not the ISP specifically, but Livepeer Inc. And we've been working with them. The AI SPE has been working with Livepeer Inc. for the past 3 months on specifically integrating diffusion models and segmentation models from our experience doing batch pipelines into their new paradigm of live video streaming, so real-time execution of these models. And so I think that that's kind of the tail end of what I'm talking about here would be, hopping on to, once released, the Livepeer live streaming version of these.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the one important thing there, and that's why I think an agent SPE is really beneficial, is doing the market research to see which pipelines will give the most results for the Livepeer ecosystem, and then of course the engineering resources can be dedicated around such pipelines, and also having a battle plan in place. For example, now the battle plan was we released the text to image pipelines, we improved them, so because people will start to use that. We released the LLM pipelines because they're already being used. Is a next step then, for example, we released talking avatars as an intermediate solution because the video models, they get better. The less models are a lot better than the other ones, but they're still very VRAM heavy. And having that plan in place really and executing it clearly, there could set Livepeer apart as an agent provider on the Eliza framework. And I think that's an SPE doing that and doing that market research and feedbacking it to the engineering teams is really beneficial there.
Okay. Thanks for the answer. Thanks.
I'll just throw out there too that I have my friend who actually gave the Stream Daemon orchestrator to. He's been working with Eliza a lot recently, and so he had expressed interest in specifically this kind of pipeline as well. So he might be a decent candidate for following up on that. I'm strongly trying to encourage him to get back on the top 100 and orchestrating again. But if we can get him on that SPE and running some of these models that provide Eliza backends, that would be pretty neat as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be great to have him back working on this. And Peter, for the lip sync pipeline, what do you think is the release to have that release? We also currently working on the real-time pipeline as well, but what would be a release schedule for that? Is it possible to release quickly, move quickly there? Do we need more resources?
Well, there are a couple limitations, I think, with the lip sync pipeline. Well, actually, first off, the text to speech, I guess, would not be a good candidate for real time, but I guess that's a separate discussion. The current text to speech one we have is kind of limited in duration, but I think the short duration that would be expected, 8 to 20 seconds is fine with our current text to speech pipeline with Parler TTS, so that could be sufficient. And with respect to rebasing and getting the real 3D portrait pipeline up, I don't foresee too many barriers to that. I just a matter of rebasing both the AI orchestrator side and AI worker side. I could see us getting that out this month.
Great, we can review it. I think if Divine, if you think it's an opportunity as well, I think it could be an opportunity if we're the only one providing that. Then we can get those pipelines on the network.
About the lipstick pipelines to integrate them as the Eliza plugin.
Yes.
I mean, totally. If you have, I don't know that much about how you select pipelines to, you find out what's popular, but if you think that having 2 or 3 certain pipelines and be out as a plugin, I'd be very happy to integrate that. Specifically, I'd be very interested to create a plugin that mixes different pipelines together, so we can have maybe image or video generation. You can have the image generation pipeline, and then you can have an audio generation. You can have image generation to generate the appropriate or the 3D head generation model, generate that, and then you can have the lip sync pipeline all together. I think
I wonder
this
in the
is
context of Eliza whether we as Livepeer and orchestrators should, whether we at the point where we're integrating with an agent framework, whether it's even necessary to compose on our end. Of course, there's as an ultimate goal probably a better kind of paradigm where if at the point orchestrators could talk to each other and pass off results, but this has been talked about and could potentially be in the future or downstream, because we don't necessarily expect a single orchestrator to host all of the models necessary for all variations of composed pipelines. But with Eliza in the mix or another AI agent framework, one could imagine that it could be the pipeline orchestrator, so to speak, that first calls the LM to get the text, calls the text to speech to get the audio, calls the lip sync to get with the audio and a provided image or even a text to image generated avatar to ultimately produce the lip synced video with audio. Oh,
so
and
that's
by the way,
Mhm.
Mayor just joined us,
Well-
who is also the administrator
I
of Stream.
don't have I don't so well he can do an introduction. Sorry, I don't have any delegation anymore, so I lost orchestration a while back. thank you, Peter. Thank you for having me. I just wanted to let you guys know I'm in crypto Twitter, and sorry, there's gardeners outside. There is a demand right now, guys. Like I have popped off a little bit just here and there. I'm in big spaces with people, and these AI agents are taking over, and Livepeer can capitalize on this heavily. People are interested. I've dropped it in 2 chats. Just said, hey, Livepeer offers a proof of stake token. It is a video streaming platform. If you guys are using the Eliza framework, you guys should look at it, because I saw Titan had applied for. I was in GitHub poking around the other day, and I saw he had something that was built in there when Interprtr was at my house. We just stumbled across that. So I don't know. I'm not as tech savvy as you
Define
guys.
actually implemented that.
What's that?
We have Define up here who actually wrote the implementation for that.
Bitchin'. Right on, dude. You're a legend.
Thanks, man. So we wrote the image implementation, and now we implement the LLM, so the thing that will allow you to output text. And right now, together with Rick, Titan, Peter, and everyone, we discuss how we can extend it, have it generate all kind of stuff. But in your opinion, what are people asking in crypto Twitter? What do they do? Because we are not.
I was just in a space, and they're like, "What's that token called?" And like, "How do I get in it?" So I wasn't on the Stream Demon account, but like I'm not even an orchestrator. So for me to tell somebody to go buy 100 Livepeer token and delegate to me when I have, say, 700 staked, it does them no good. If I was to do it and go rep it, I need to be an orchestrator, and I will rep the shit out of this. I am a hell of a marketer. Like, people listen to me. I don't know why. But yeah, like, I mean, people will have a need for this. AI agents, every shill space I'm in, guys, every project has an AI agent. It seems like, I mean, 1 in 3 right now, and it's going to be every one, and it's like the new wave from what I'm seeing.
Great to have
We
you
were
here.
discussing with
finally.
Rick. Yes, sir. We were discussing, Rick, about the marketing. Maybe Mayor
Yeah,
is good for that.
Yeah, Mayor, thanks for helping in on this call, and great to see you in person. Peter has talked me about you already. Yeah, if you're also really set on this idea, you could help Titan create this AI agent SPE. And of course, from my side, my group will support you guys with the technicals you need. If the demand takes off, it will be easier to hire other people. So demand brings, of course, more engineers, so we can. If the demand is there, we can really grow on this opportunity, and we can set Livepeer also as a really distinguishing provider for the Eliza framework. And
yeah, which is
I'm
great.
really
Just pop it in here, Mayor. How do we get you on board to do this? You want stake? I'll stake some to you. And
I just Peter had mentioned that like I lost. So when the market tanked earlier this year, like I was like right at the bottom. I was like number 98 on the orchestrator list, and it wasn't, I'm not earning a hell of a lot. But in order, like if I was to tell somebody to go stake against my node right now, it wouldn't make any sense. They're not going to earn anything because I'm not earning anything. So it would be hard. It would be a hard sell. I'd have them stake to Peter over me because of that, right? Yeah, I don't know the plan.
You want to join the
Go ahead.
agent SPE team with me and Define, and going to go into these agent platforms as a market the shit out of Livepeer. We're going to explain how people can get involved. We're going to explain, and then the SPE will pay us for that in Livepeer tokens effort, right?
Sure, I'm in. Like I'm on crypto Twitter, dude. I was on 18 hours yesterday. It's probably not good for my mental health, but I was there yesterday all day. Just
So let's pump your bags with LPT to be our shill. It'll all come from the church.
Okay.
Quick comment from me, Mayor. If we can also augment you with, like the ability to create videos. We have some tooling for that. So if you think that you can use something like that, we can also offer that to boost your marketing efforts as well.
Yeah, I want to do it off the Stream Demon site. So the idea I had was to have an agent kind of run it, because I have practice with this. So in crypto Twitter, you will get shadow banned super quick if you are doing too much. So a small amount of effort from an LLM or agent on crypto Twitter for all of you guys would actually be beneficial, just to kind of get your guys' nodes out there. Set one up and have it drop, 20 messages a day, on in regard to your guys' node and staking and getting it out there, because everybody is going to be in these AI agents and they're going to click on that because they're going to need a video streaming platform to host this. I mean, it's Peter was at my house the other day, and before this conversation was happening, I said, why isn't Livepeer in on this? And I was right at that moment, I went on GitHub, and sure as shit, there was Titans, what Define had wrote, it was there. I just saw it. I was like, oh my God, they already are. So it's serendipitous. But yeah, there is going to be, I believe there will be a massive demand for video streaming because of these agents. So this is the time to capitalize.
All right, drafting up the agent SPE later today. Mayor, are you interested in being on the team? I'll write you down as a team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who
I'll
else
rep it
wants
on the stream.
So I got Titan Define Mayor so far on this. Anyone else want to do a deep dive into these agent platforms? It's a start. Reach out to me if you are interested. Yeah. Infiltration.
Could you explain what would be the work to do? Because I don't understand what we
You don't
would
understand.
have to do.
We're so early, we don't even know.
Okay.
Yeah, I just still don't know exactly what's going on. I know that there is a ton of
At least can I have a general ID?
The co-ops covert team Livepeer agent going into Eliza framework and Bro framework. We're going to be implementing and Livepeer inference and implement.
Okay.
What does that mean? Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, but at least you need to have some level in development, and I'm not that good.
Yeah. It's that's the team. That's called the Agent SP. It's even we should call it the covert agent. Get in there, but yeah.
Okay.
We'll apply from the treasury for tokens. We can tokens directly. Yeah, so I'll draft up a draft, kind of write down some preliminary thoughts, share them with the other SPE teams to make sure we're not double stacking effort. Basically, I'm even gonna write in there what this agent SPE is not. We don't work on Livepeer code. We don't supply gateway or there's a lot of things we don't do. We are literally just team going into the boards and represent. That's it.
I'm going to go on crypto Twitter and do it, because I can get on stage with, I don't know about the Stream Demon account, but my account can get on stage with thousands of people.
Cool.
So
that's the idea, and we'll get you LPT in your bags.
Okay.
Great water cooler this Titan. This is
man.
A very good one.
Yeah, it's
like I said, I have a smile on my face. This is
one,
history being written. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I can quickly go to the last topic. I think.
Cover the last
before
topic,
we wrap up.
and then.
Yes. Great. Then the last topic. This was a really interesting conversation on the agent network. Really excited about it. So the topic that I want to cover quickly was the AI SPE phase 3 proposal. I will share my screen here a little bit to show you. So there is a forum post. I added it to the chat already above. I will copy it again. Let me quickly get the right one. It's in here. So to give you a quick overview, you can go to the forum post as well. So The AISP, of course, we're not going nowhere. This for last year was really fun. Together with the community and the other SPEs, we really set the basis for the Livepeer AI network. I'm very proud of the whole community and excited to see what we can achieve in the next year. So we have a new proposal out. It's on the form. Happy to get feedback on it. So the next proposal, to give you some overview, we have a request for 35,000 LPT right now. It's set at the $10 mark, but as with all the previous proposals, we always, if there is funding over, we will or give it back to the treasury, or we will just work longer. Like the last period, last time, Sarah did a really good job at handling the financials, and we were able to work 3 months longer on the fund, on the funding that we had. And as stated here, we could cover until June, and if it otherwise beyond March. So what's the next road for the ISP? I created a roadmap here that's also public. So this was last year. There is a retrospective out as well. But in the last months, we helped already the Livepeer Inc. with the real-time AI pipeline. So the real-time AI pipelines, as stated in the Cascade post done by Doug, is really also a distinguishing factor because there are not many people doing it yet. That's in the early phase, so it's something to really look into as the Livepeer community. Can we be the first market leader on the real-time AI pipelines? However, the ISP still is dedicated to also the generative pipelines, the BEPS pipelines. So there are multiple things that we want to do until Q2. So to state the roadmap, it's a little bit changed because we're doing market research in real time. We're still looking at how can we improve the BEPS pipelines. So we planned up till at least the end of next year. But the farther you go, the more things could change the roadmap. So we have some very clear deliverables for the first quarter. They're focused around orchestrator operations, as I already explained in the beginning. So really ensuring that the orchestrators are set up to serve the new demand of, for example, the agent network or from the real-time pipelines, and really taking away the pain points that orchestrators currently have, working closely with the orchestrators. We are already hosting quarterly, it was quarterly, now it's monthly orchestrator calls to get feedback from the orchestrators. So we have engineers working on that. The amount of engineers for each task can be found in the mission and roadmap in here. So resources on each area in the first quarter. Apart from that, also we help with the real-time pipelines, really ensuring that that basis is right so that other people can start adding real-time pipelines to the Livepeer network. We plan to work on developing documentation, environments for developers to add both batch pipelines easier and generative pipelines as well as real-time pipelines. And another point is the on-chain ticket distinction, because now as the network basis has been set, the foundation, it's really important that we really get a sense of how many fees come in from each area. So that can be the transcoding fees, that can be FOD, that can be live in that buckets, it can be the AI pipeline, so it can be the generative with batch, or it can be the real-time, so that we can see which markets are bringing the most fees. So you can take a look through this roadmap. If you have questions, I'm always available to answer those. So in the proposal as well, there's the people that are involved. So the engineers that you know from last time, myself, John, Peter, Prakash just joined as an AI researcher, which I'm really excited about. So somebody that has a lot of knowledge on the transformer pipelines, the diffuser pipelines, AI research. You saw him already interact in the Discord community. And we have support from the ecosystem teams still on like production, product management, financial support, and HR. And we have meetings with Doug on more the vision with the bigger ecosystem. So the deliverables are stated in here. Kickstart the AI real-time journey, batch AI generative pipeline generalization and optimization. So this one is really important because, as you know, to add a pipeline in the last phase, it was still, you had to route a lot of things to the Go Livepeer stack. But we should really simplify that so that people can create their own containers, get a pipeline, a model really quickly on the Livepeer network. Orchestrator operations that I have talked about. So we need to ensure that orchestrators can grow and the on-chain fee ticket differentiation. So that are the main areas. In the mission, there are the smaller deliverables there. Of course, with the market changing, for example, the AI agent platform that we just discussed, or the real time, there could be a shift in the core development things that we do. But also the bounty program, we're still doing that. The last time was really, in a sense, it was really inspiring to see how many people wanted to contribute to the Livepeer open source community. But also we had to streamline that a bit because the bottleneck was really how quickly could we review things. So it has been handed over to the ecosystem team, but we still do a lot of AI bounty. They have a lot of plans. For this, we have another bounty request for new features, and also some non-critical areas, AI areas on the transcoding side, the Explorer, that we want to allow the community to work on. We have a new AI Builder cohort program and a startup program coming up that is hosted by the ecosystem team, which my team will support from the engineering side. The last one, which I would like to get your feedback on as well, is the AI network reliability initiative. So as you know, in the last period, we were doing base capacity, and that really helped when Supermodel wanted to push 500,000 jobs to the network. That was not possible with the GPUs that were currently on that network, but that's like a peak demand. What I really want to ensure with the team in the next period is that the orchestrators on the network really get all the fees there. So in the last period, we scaled the base capacity down when there were more GPUs so that we didn't get all the jobs and that it was only need for serving the peak commands from the startups. But also really ensuring that there is a portal that people can see which jobs are getting served by the base capacity. And we would like to provide orchestrators with the same scaling scripts that we wrote for the base capacity so that they can also scale their operations with, for example, cloud compute if it becomes profitable. So curious to hear your thoughts on this. So the plan is to post it the 2nd of January. And if there are any questions already in the audience, let me know. I did talk a little bit quickly, but that's because we are already quite long into this water cooler. But it's also recorded, so you could slow it down. So no questions from the audience right now. So if anything comes up after reading the proposal, you have some questions or you have ideas that you think are also important that we didn't take into account for the next quarter, like I said, this one is quite set to the Q3 on resources, but after that it's more fluid because we are still looking at the real-time AI product and also, of course, now the agent product. The thing that is in the next year currently is really research and implement improved scalable AI job distribution mechanism and also secure custom container deployment. Because what we saw in the last period, the custom logic that we made with the Docker manager, it's not the best suited to really serve demand at bigger scales, really, if demand will take off. So there are other platforms, for example, Razor, Kubeflow, and another ones that already have a really big community of developers behind it, a lot of researchers from other enterprises or open source products. So that could be a solution to allow a better scalable network from the supply side. Great. If there's no feedback, nobody wants to ask questions.
I'd like to ask a question. Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
For a person like me who I'm more on the researcher part, and I don't know if I could help on a project like that. What could I do, for example? Because like I'm more on the paper side, the research side, etc. And I'm not good at development or integration. And but it's kind of the kind of project who I really like to participate, but I don't know
Yeah,
what could I use I could be.
I think you just asked my favorite question because this really, like last year, it was really a community effort as well. Orchestrators stepping in, open source developers stepping in. We had some people doing research. And there are a lot of opportunities to get involved with the AI journey. So I can list them all. It's also on the mission page. I will send you this link in the chat where people can see how they can get involved, but this doesn't work too good in the chat. Let me fix this. Now you should have the link in here. So you
Okay.
can read there as well. So of course, the first thing that you can do is you could help with research. We have an AI researcher that you could collaborate with. And we can provide you with bounties for that. So you get reward funding for doing research for the Livepeer network. Because I think research is really valuable here. Because it could help look at the models that are currently not yet in the main public, but that have really big potential. Look at solutions, for example, on scaling. This is also a research product in a sense. And also look at how can we optimize the pipelines there more. So we have possibilities from my group, but also from other groups in the ecosystem to help the Livepeer network, AI network, by doing bounties. And the bounty port can be found on livepeer.bounties. And then if you go to so I will share it as well. Here are the currently bounties that have been done, that are currently in action. There's also a channel in the server, a bounty channel that you can follow. I can quickly copy that link as well. So these are smaller items that you can do. For example, this one is an end-to-end implementation object detection pipeline that has been completed for $2,500 here. There are other ones that you could do to help. So if you have an idea, you can say which research areas you're really an expert in a sense, and we can look if you can help us. Help us with your research knowledge, help the Livepeer network and move it forward. So the other things that you can do is explore larger products. They're on the Livepeer grants page. I will quickly give you that link as well. And for people in the audience, here is the Livepeer grants. So these are bigger products. So there are some inspirations that you can look at. For example, I think one of the areas is looking at the curve of inflation. There is one on verification of security of network. And those can go up to a bigger amount, so bigger in the sense that this one is still within the bounty amount of $5,000, but you also have 15,000. And really to reward for people for their time, this is done by the ecosystem team. So this is for bigger IDs. Do you have a really cool ID for the Livepeer network? Then you could pitch that ID to the community, for example, in the general chat, see what people do, and then eventually get a grant for that to have your own team work on your ID. That's the other option to get involved. And create your own SPE, what you just saw witnessed in this water cooler chat. You can create your own SPE to really work towards a goal, a bigger goal even than a grant, and to really help the Livepeer network gain adoption, to do an other community related goal. And of course, as the AISPE and other groups, we always look for people to join the team. Currently, we just hired another AI researcher, but if in the next period, as in the proposal we state, we are also dedicating resources to potential hires that we see come up in here. So I hope that helps. I'm happy to, or at least welcome to the community. You will see that it's a very
Okay.
open community. And if there are any questions, just DM me or the other team members, or go in the channels or ask questions, and just let us know.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Great. If there are no other questions, I'm always available still these days before the proposal is posted. You can also answer on the form as your questions there. And if there are no other questions, I think we can wrap this up. And I see your question, Titan. So what I did, I set it up in OBS, and I just there's a screen recorder plugin, and then you can paste it behind you. And just if you have a blank enough background, for example, my background is a white wall, I think, with some paintings, then that will work. So now I can get it back to the Livepeer logo. Great, then I would like to wish you a happy new year coming up, and thanks for joining this water cooler. I see Define
Thanks,
still
everyone.
typing.
That was an awesome water cooler.
Yeah, great one. Great topics.
Thanks for being here, Define, and for your work on the Eliza integration. Look forward to working with you more. And thanks, Titan, as you're not on the stage anymore, but awesome job and great call on everything today. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.